Mark's frustration was growing. No, I don't think I can just drop it. You've never sent me a picture that needed deleting from a group chat. So, who was it really for? Keep watching to learn how Lisa's mistake ruined her life. But before I tell you the whole story, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks. Mark and Lisa had been married for almost 16 years. They had met in their late 20s, both working in marketing at the time, and quickly fell into a comfortable rhythm of life together. They were now in their early 40s, living in a suburban neighborhood just outside Chicago with their 11-year-old daughter, Sophie. Sophie was their pride and joy, and they structured much of their lives around her soccer games, her school events, and recently, her ballet classes. Ballet wasn't Sophie's favorite, but it was something Lisa had insisted on. Lisa liked the idea of Sophie having the discipline that ballet could instill. And if Lisa liked something, Mark went along with it. He'd gotten used to doing things that way. Mark worked long hours, solving issues for his clients at all hours. He tried to be present for family dinners and weekend activities, but truthfully, he was often exhausted. His and Lisa's marriage had settled into something comfortable, predictable even. They loved each other, but their interactions had become routine, driven more by logistics than passion. Lisa had quit her marketing job when Sophie was born, but now that Sophie was older, Lisa found herself restless. She took up volunteering and joined a couple of book clubs to fill the days, but it didn't feel like enough. A few months ago, Lisa met Derek, another parent at Sophie's dance class. Derek was different. He was single, easygoing, with a devil-may-care attitude Lisa hadn't seen in years. He was charming, funny, and flirty in a way that reminded her of how things used to be with Mark before life got so complicated. Their conversations started as harmless exchanges in the dance studio lobby, but they quickly became more personal. Soon, they were texting regularly, and what began as innocent had become much more. It was after a few months of sneaking around with Derek that Lisa made her mistake. One Wednesday evening, Mark was home from work earlier than usual. He was sitting at the dining room table, checking emails on his laptop, while Lisa was in the kitchen preparing dinner. Sophie was at dance practice, and the house was otherwise quiet. Lisa was supposed to meet Derek later that night. After picking Sophie up, something she had told Mark was just a quick coffee with one of the dance moms. Lisa's phone buzzed with a message from Derek, something about how excited he was to see her later. She had just taken a quick, risk photo of herself, something she would have never done for Mark, and meant to send it to Derek. But in her haste, she made a critical mistake. Her finger hovered over the wrong chat, and instead of sending the picture to Derek privately, she accidentally sent it to the parents' group chat for Sophie's ballet class, a group that Mark was also part of. The moment she pressed send, her heart sank. She gasped audibly and rushed to delete the message, but it was too late. Her pulse raced as she frantically typed an apology in the chat. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, everyone. That wasn't meant for this group. Please ignore it." Mark, who had been reading something on his laptop, noticed the frantic way Lisa was holding her phone. "Everything okay?" he asked, glancing up. "Yeah, just embarrassed myself in the group chat. I sent a text to the wrong people." "No big deal," she said, avoiding his eyes. But curiosity got the better of him. He hadn't seen the message itself, but the notification of the deletion was still in the chat. A gut feeling told him to look into it. Lisa had never been this flustered over a simple mistake. As he grabbed his phone, Lisa busied herself in the kitchen, clattering dishes to distract from what had just happened. Mark opened the chat. There it was. This message was deleted. He stared at the notification for a few seconds, then clicked on the parent list to see who was in the chat. At that moment, he got a private message from one of the moms. "I know it's none of my business, but if you didn't get a chance to see it, here's the picture Lisa accidentally sent to the chat. You should also know that she seems to be very close to one of the dads here. His name is Derek." Mark barely had the time to finish reading the message when it got deleted by the sender. He only got a glimpse of the picture, but it was enough for him to realize that Lisa had never sent him anything like it. He couldn't help himself. his stomach twisted. Mark stood up and walked into the kitchen. "Lisa, what did you send to the group chat?" She looked up, startled by his sudden intensity. It was nothing. "Just a stupid mistake," she said quickly, turning her back to him. Mark wasn't convinced. "What kind of mistake? You seemed pretty freaked out about it." "It's embarrassing, Mark." "Let's just drop it, okay?" she said, her voice tight. Mark's frustration was growing. "No, I don't think I can just drop it. You've never sent me a picture that needed deleting from a group chat. So, who was it really for?" Lisa turned to face him, her expression defensive. "I was hoping you didn't see it. I was trying to surprise you, okay? I was just, being playful, and I messed up. I sent it to the wrong chat." Mark crossed his arms, his skepticism deepening, especially after the message he got. "You've never done that before. You've never sent me anything like that in the 16 years we've been married. So why now?" She didn't answer immediately. The silence between them felt heavy, and Mark could feel his pulse quickening. He could sense there was more to the story, but Lisa wasn't willing to give it up. "You don't trust me?" she asked, her voice sharp, trying to turn the accusation on him. "I made a mistake, Mark. I was trying to do something nice for you, and you're turning this into a whole thing." He stared at her, searching her face for any sign that she was telling the truth, but her eyes wouldn't meet his. "I don't believe you," he said quietly, the hurt settling in his chest like a weight. "You're lying to me." Lisa bristled. "What is wrong with you? It was supposed to be a surprise, and now you're accusing me of what? What do you think is going on?" Mark clenched his jaw. "I don't know, Lisa. You tell me." She shook her head and turned away from him, muttering something under her breath as she started chopping vegetables, ignoring him. But Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong, and it had something to do with that Derek dad. That night, after they put Sophie to bed, Mark couldn't sleep. Lisa had gone to bed without another word to him, turning her back toward him as soon as they climbed under the covers. Mark lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing. He knew something was going on. He just had to find out what. The next morning, while Lisa was getting Sophie ready for school, Mark had an idea. He grabbed one of the AirTags he had bought a few months ago to keep track of Sophie's backpack and discreetly slipped it into Lisa's purse before she left to drop Sophie off at school. That evening, Mark checked the AirTag tracker. He watched as Lisa's location pinged around town, dropping Sophie off at ballet practice as usual. But then, instead of heading home or meeting with the supposed dance moms, Lisa's location pinged in the parking lot of a small motel on the outskirts of the town. Mark's heart raced. His suspicions were confirmed, but seeing it in real time made it all the more painful. He grabbed his keys, got into his car, and drove in the direction of the motel, the AirTag guiding him. When he arrived, Lisa's car was parked outside one of the rooms. His chest felt tight as he approached, unsure what he would do when he got to the door. But his anger overpowered his uncertainty, and he knocked loud and hard. After a few tense moments, Derek opened the door, his face paling when he saw Mark standing there. Lisa was inside, sitting on the bed, her face white as a sheet. "Mark," Lisa started, but he cut her off. "Don't," he said, his voice trembling with fury. "Don't even try to explain this." Derek stepped back, avoiding Mark's glare. "Maybe I should." "Yeah, maybe you should leave," Mark snapped. "This is between me and my wife." Derek grabbed his coat and hurried past Mark, clearly not wanting to be part of the confrontation. Mark stepped into the room and shut the door behind him. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, his voice low and cold. Lisa sat there, unable to meet his eyes. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. How long?" Mark repeated, his fists clenched at his sides. "A few months," she whispered. Mark felt like the air had been knocked out of him. He had suspected it, but hearing her admit it felt like a punch to the gut. "I trusted you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I thought we had a life together." Tears welled in Lisa's eyes. "I'm so sorry, Mark. I didn't want to hurt you. I was unhappy. And this is how you fix it. By sneaking around behind my back with some guy from Sophie's dance class?" Lisa didn't answer. She just sat there, her head bowed in shame. Mark stood there for a long moment, his mind swirling with emotions. Finally, he turned and walked out of the room, leaving Lisa sitting alone, the weight of her betrayal hanging in the air. As he drove away from the motel, Mark knew things would never be the same. What do you think happened next? Tell us in the comments. But first, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Then look out for part 2 of the story. Bye.